Okay, so most of my base camp and Ascent volunteers know that we do huddles. So if you are new, or if you are in incline or altitude or shine or in the check-in team, we love to check in with you once a month just to see how life is going, and we call those check-ins huddles. If you serve at the 9:15, and again, it doesn't matter where in NextGen you serve, we would love to see your face at 8:50 in 213, which is the 4th and 5th grade room upstairs. And that is on the third Sunday of the month. If you serve at the 11 o'clock anywhere in NextGen, we would love to see your face at 12:40 in 208. Sorry guys, we changed this around and I don't know where we are. In 208, and that's the first Sunday of the month. And this is a great time where if we have any updates coming up in NextGen, that we will give those to you, as well as sometimes me and Trinity swing by and I'm asking you if you have enough copies or glue or crayons. But really, I would love to know, how are your families doing? Can we be praying for you? I love that I have something else to talk to you guys about besides the kids in your classrooms. So this is a great opportunity to do those things.
Okay, how many of you guys have downloaded the Planning Center app? It's green and has stripes. Okay, if you have not or you haven't figured out how to download it yet, let me know and I will help you. But it's really easy. You either go to your Google, wherever you get your apps at, go look for Planning Center, okay, and you're going to download that app. That is, you're getting emails from me, all of you except Shine. Shine's getting theirs from Dana. But you're all getting emails from me that say, you're scheduled for X. I need you guys to respond back to those. Otherwise, I need you to respond back to those, either as an accept or a decline. If you know you're not going to be here, as soon as you know you're not going to be here for that week, please decline it, because then I have time to find somebody to fill your spot. There's nothing worse than all of a sudden Sunday morning somebody declines for me because they haven't answered yet, and now I'm going, oh, now I got to scramble to find somebody. I'm calling Kelly at 7 o'clock on Sunday morning going, Kelly, can you fill this class? So the sooner you let me know, the better off we are, because then I can make sure we have enough people in those classrooms. Okay? So it's really simple to use the app. It's that green slice. The other thing is, and you can respond to the emails. I know a lot of you guys do. But the nice thing about being in the app for Base Camp and Ascent is when you go in there, you can block out dates that you know you're going to be gone. So you have the ability to block out dates. But more importantly, when you go in there, you can actually find the curriculum for your class for that Sunday. So you can actually take a look at your curriculum before you show up on Sunday morning, so you know what it is that your class has going on. So if you don't know how to find the curriculum in your app, catch me, catch Trinity, catch Jessica. Any of us can help you, show you, if you're in Base Camp or Ascent, where to find the curriculum that goes with your class for that week. Okay? Shine ministry people, next Ascent, altitude, or incline, and altitude. You guys will start getting notices for huddles. So besides like Shine Ministry, I know you guys aren't doing yours through the Planning Center, you're doing it differently, but you will start getting invitations to the appropriate huddles. So just be aware of that. Okay? Please check in 15 minutes prior to your service time. So if you're serving at 9:15, check in at 9, because people in Base Camp and Ascent cannot check in if there is not a teacher checked into the classroom. Okay? But once you check into your classroom, please be in your classroom. Because we have parents who then come up, they check in, it says there's somebody in that classroom. They go to that classroom, and there is not a soul standing in that classroom because you went to go get your coffee or whatever, or you're standing in the hallway chit-chatting with somebody. Once you've checked in, please make sure you go to your classroom, because that's telling parents that there's somebody in their classroom waiting for their child, and all of a sudden they get to that classroom and there's nobody there, and that's pretty scary.
So I get to lead you in discussion today, and we're going to utilize on your tables, you should have a piece of like butcher paper, that brown paper, and a couple markers. So you're going to be writing. So go ahead and like vote for the person that has the best handwriting or who's willing to write today. There's 2 questions up there that we really want you to discuss. And don't worry, nobody's feelings will be hurt in this, because this is a real conversation. The first one is what challenges are you currently experiencing in the classroom or during service? And what are you doing about that? And have that conversation. And in that conversation, though, hopefully naturally, this will bring up, if you can change one thing that would make NextGen better, like overall, what would that be? So take the next 2 minutes, write down some notes. You don't have to write a thesis or a hypothesis. Just do a couple bullet points, but do it collaboratively. And 2 minutes, go. All right. Go ahead and put that period or that question mark if you have it. And we want to hear what some of those biggest challenges you're experiencing. So don't be shy. We're all here doing the same thing for the same reasons, so don't be shy. Who wants to share their biggest challenge? Got it. So she was saying that there's, you got to give that to me again. I got distracted. There was. We got Bible studies on Mondays and Tuesday.
And Tuesday morning. There's 2 different Bible studies on Tuesday morning.
2 Bible studies on Tuesday mornings, and just not enough.
One Monday night.
On Monday night, not enough buddies. Okay, that's a challenge. Absolutely. Thanks for sharing. Did I see somebody over here? One. I'll take it. All right.
So how do we deal with the kids that I guess would say are dropped off as a babysitter type thing, and they don't want to listen to the teaching?
I'm sorry, I'm going to take this one, Adam, because I'm so happy that you asked that question, because that is the theme of today's entire training. So, well done. We'll get back to that, but I saw another question over there.
I'm coming. I got tiny legs, so it takes me a minute. What you got? You want the mic? Yeah, you do.
How to keep them calm and in one spot for a period of time.
I really hope we find a solution to that, because I would love to have that as well.
I'd say take the kids outside on a hot sunny day. They get more exercise that way, and they're less inside. They would be better out.
There's a solution. Absolutely engaging with our students or our kiddos in a way that makes them happy to be here, engaged and joyful, getting them active and moving. Do you want me to keep going? Okay. I'm not the timekeeper, so. You want the mic? Oh. All right, I'm ready.
Going off of what she said with like going outside, so like the weather's kind of warm, but it's still a little cold.
Right.
Maybe find some way to let the parents know to bring jackets.
Okay, so communicating with parents to bring jackets, coats, especially as the weather is warming up, that is definitely something that can be a challenge, like communicating with parents. Anybody else? Okay. All right. You know you want the mic. It's calling to you. It's calling to you.
Trying to have kids there when you start the lesson instead of walking in the middle of the lesson, and you have to stop and try to get them involved. So it's a timing thing.
Okay. Timing, absolutely. That's yeah, that's a hard one, especially if you have to start, stop, start, stop. It messes up the whole schedule that you have set up for you. Absolutely. Good, Tom. Oh, No. You want the mic.
Kids keep trying to pay more attention to like the toys and the other kids wanting to play and not pay attention to the lesson. So what we do is we put the toys away and like out of sight, out of mind concept, and we just like, hey, we're doing this and this. Isn't that so fun?
Yeah, absolutely. Setting up that schedule and being purposeful when you pull stuff out is a good process to help with that. Absolutely. Problem solving.
So thank you, all of you. It really takes every single one of you for us to have a successful ministry. You've probably heard me say this before, and I'll say it again. It takes over 190 volunteers to run NextGen. 190. There's only 4 staff. So we really do need you guys. And we can't be in every classroom. We can't lead every small group. We can't meet every parent. We can't get to know every single one of our children intimately as much as we want to. You guys do that. Ultimately, it's you leading them into a lifelong relationship with Jesus. Like, that's what you're here for. Like, that's what you're doing for these kids. And it is an awesome, awesome thing. So I want to address some of these questions. And I did kind of hear a theme. Some things are completely out of our control. But we could probably get better at communicating with parents. Hey parents, the weather's getting nicer, but it's still kind of chilly in the mornings. Make sure that you bring your kids' jackets. We can send out newsletters and we can ask them to be on time. We can talk to them about the unintended consequences and the effects that them being late has on our classroom, right? All those interruptions, they're not getting the full lesson. And then, of course, with more distractions, the kids become distracted and now you've got a whole room or a whole group full of kids that you have to refocus, right? So we can get better at communicating, but it takes you guys too. So let me empower you, please. Let me give you permission. Have these conversations with your parents at pickup and drop off. These are your classrooms. These are your small groups. This is your service in this room right here. Those are your doors to monitor. These are your kids. Send them home with these messages. So we're going to go into 3 different questions that we thought would come out of today's little discussion time. So we kind of summed them up. Again, I'm pretty sure that I heard a trend here. So I hope these next 3 questions kind of answer some of those things. Questions or solutions?
Solutions. So we talked about being solution focused when we started talking about the challenges and things like that that come to all of us when we're in class. The first thing you want to do is want to engage with your kids, whether they're teeny tiny all the way up to, like that senior year in high school. We want to engage with them. Of course, it's all a little bit different. You see right there that glorified babysitter walking around. I heard that term a few times, and that doesn't feel very empowering, right? So in order to do that, in order to lead them on that lifelong journey with Jesus, we have to get down and do the work with them, right? Get in there when you are, how do I want to put that? You want to absolutely get down with the table. As you can see, like even today, I'm kind of modeling a little bit with that. I'm not standing up front. I'm not over on the side. I'm in here engaged with you, telling you and talking to you about like what one of the solutions are. This is a way that we can engage with our kids just the same way that I'm engaging with you. The second thing is that curriculum. I will tell you by craft, I am a curriculum writer. That is what I do for a living. I will tell you that any curriculum that comes out of a company, comes out of a person, is not 100%. It does not fit every single person or kid that it's designed for. I promise you that. That's where we call the art of teaching. You get to show up, and your kids are a little bit emotional that day. Gosh, I can tell you right now, spring break, it starts tomorrow. I bet you last Sunday, or if you had kids this last week, it could have been crazy. Even today, they're itching. They don't know what's going on for spring break. They're going to be emotional. Adjust your curriculum to match that. We talked about going outside. Take that extra 10 minutes if they're wound up with energy. I get the opportunity to work with a lot of kids on Wednesday night with Hannah, if you don't know Hannah. And the perfect example of this is that Wednesday night, our curriculum is written for discipleship. We're trying to equip our kids to go out and be disciples. Hannah was leading on Wednesday night, and one of the things that she immediately realized that we had some gaps where we were talking about Abraham, an Old Testament, and a lot of kids in our group were getting him confused with Abraham Lincoln. That's a gap we had to fill. So we stopped. We tweaked that curriculum and said, hold on. We're going to talk about discipleship. That's going to be great. But we really need to focus on this. And you all should be empowered to do that as well. Or when something is happening in the classroom and you need to spend a little extra time playing with the toys, or they just need to come out 5 minutes earlier because that focus is gone and you need to come back later, tweak that curriculum that matches your group at that time. It won't always be the same. We know that working with kids and working with humans, so keep that in mind. And the last, please, is that classroom management, behaviors, engagement, controlling the chaos. There's ways you can do that kind of help. Now, of course, just like anything else with humans and kids, not everything is perfect. A schedule. We had the conversation about we don't bring the toys out till the lesson is done. When the kids start learning that routine, they know I got to get through the lesson. I have to focus and engage, and that kind of helps that controlling the chaos. If you're experiencing the same kids that are late every time, do an activity that doesn't require that until they are in there, and then also being in there with that engagement piece will absolutely help with those behaviors. Okay. Anything I missed on that you want to cover? Did you have some pieces? Yeah. So helping with engaging also helps with those classroom management pieces. I know, I'm sorry.
Sorry. Does everybody know Dana? Yeah? I hope so. Well, for those of you that don't, Dana and her husband Jeremy are our Shine ministry leaders. And we hit our 1-year anniversary for Shine. I'm going to keep talking about this because it's so exciting. This last January 30th. So we're a couple months even past that. And this ministry has grown to support a very beautiful population. So I'm going to let Dana talk about behaviors. And when she talks about behaviors today and controlling that classroom environment or just the interactions that you're having with these kids, yes, she may be coming from a perspective of working with children with special needs, but the techniques are the same for any kid of any age. Even high schoolers sometimes have to be reminded, you have 2 minutes until we're going to do this. Right? So please just listen to Dana with an open mind, open heart, open ears. She's got some really good techniques and some really good things that could really help you guys.
Okay, so I just realized it is time to go. So I'm going to try to sum it up really fast and make it kind of quick. We all are in and out of the classrooms. How many of you guys have seen behaviors in your classroom? Quickly, name a few. Shout out a few of some of the ones you guys have seen. Fighting. Talking over the teacher. Refusing to do whatever the directions are. Playing. What about hitting, kicking, throwing toys? Trying to leave the classroom or holding onto your leg when you're trying to do something. These are all behaviors. These are all things that we see, and not just kids with special needs or exceptional needs have behaviors. We all have good and bad days. We were going to watch a very good movie, video clip from Emily Emerson. Trinity, are we able to email this video to them? Okay, so you guys look for this video. She does a fantastic job. She talks about why the kids have behaviors. What are the roots of these behaviors? Things that you can kind of look at. Are they hungry? Are they tired? Are they missing mom? Or they just had a bad morning. What is the root of these reasons? And then she gives you strategies on what to do when these behaviors happen, how to de-escalate them, and then how to incorporate other strategies into your classroom so you don't continue to have these. It's a fantastic video. It's about 30 minutes long, so we will get it out to you. At any time you guys are having behaviors in the classroom, think about the kid, look at the kid. What just happened? Do you think they're hungry? Did you just tell them to clean up and they don't want to clean up, they want to avoid the task? Are they do they have a sensory component? Do they just need some hugs? Do they need to jump? Do they need some, hand squeezes? You got to think about what the root is, what the cause is before you can do the next step. I'm trying to go fast. Okay, is that good? And you can always come to me and ask me questions. If you're having a particular problem in the classroom with a child, let me know. I can come in and help and observe, and we can put some strategies together. We had one kid recently, we made her a little bag, a sensory bag. She has a wiggle cushion, some fidget toys, and that's all she needs. She sits there in the circle time. She sits on her little wiggle cushion and fidgets, and she's able to pay attention to the whole class. And without those little bit of strategies, she was not able to sit in the room and participate. So it's just little things like that that we can help out in your classroom. So please feel free to let me know. And also my Shine buddies, when we're done, I just need to see you for about 10 minutes.
So we were hoping to go a lot deeper into this conversation with you today. Like I said, when you guys went around and you were answering that discussion question, there was a common trend there, right? And the biggest thing that I want you all to walk away from or walk away with today is to please be empowered. You have permission. These are your classrooms. This is your service. This is your small group. These are your kids. Nobody knows them better than you guys because you spend the most time with them. Treat them like your own. So if you see a whole bunch of things going on in the classroom, redirect them. Boys, that's not appropriate. Stop. Girls, get over here. I wasn't asking, right? I'm a little bit more strict. I'm a little bit more stern. I'm a military parent through and through. My son can attest to that wherever he is. But you can do that sternness. It doesn't have to be mean. It doesn't have to be punitive. They don't have to think that they're in trouble. They just have to realize that there's structure here and that you're the adult and that when you ask them to do something, it's for their benefit, right? But then going back to what Dana said, if they're really having a bad day, think to yourself maybe why they're having a bad day. Right? Sometimes kids do things just because they want attention, right? We all know that, and they'll do the wrong thing to get attention, and they're gonna get it in the wrong way, but maybe turn that upside down for them. Maybe give them a completely different response than what they would expect at home, right? So we want to talk to you more about this. If any of you are just like having just problems, right? I've got this group of kids that just will not participate in small group. I can't even get them to the table. Like, come talk to one of us. You can talk to me, you can talk to Dana, you can talk to Jessica, Cindy, you can talk to Adam, talk to Pastor Ryan, talk to one of us, and we will help you, give you some type of idea to work through that with them, something else to try. This video, we actually did really want to watch this video today because it has a lot of really good techniques and a lot of good recommendations. But like Dana said, it is 30 minutes long and we want to honor your time. We got started late, so we don't want to end too much later. I will email this out to everybody. It is a YouTube link. You can listen to it on 2x speed while you're driving in the car. Just miss 3 songs on the radio, and you're going to get some really good recommendations. Again, if you've got questions, we want to meet with you. We want you to feel supported. We cannot do this without you. And your kids love you. They love you so much, and they are so excited and grateful to see you every week. So if you have them for an hour and 15 minutes, make the most of it. It's so rewarding. I just got like full body chills. I'm going to let Pastor Ryan close us out, but seriously, come talk to us. We want to support you. Be empowered. And thank you so much for your commitment to them.
Super cool. You know, the very last verse of the Old Testament talks about the fact that if the older generation will turn their heart to the younger generation and the younger generation turn their heart to the older generation, he says that there's a blessing there. If we don't do that, then there's a curse present. And so the reason that this is so valuable is this guarantees the blessing of God on this ministry, that we have generational connection. Not a generation, not a divorce of generations, which is all too common, but truly generations connected, all in the unity and one accord. Amen? So thank you, Trinity, for this great training, and let's pray and dismiss you guys. So, Father, we thank you for this wonderful day of ministry, especially thank you for what you did in the middle schoolers today. Lord, thank you for all that you're doing. Thank you for all these parents, volunteers. Lord, you bless them, keep them, make your face to shine upon them, and give them peace. In Jesus' name, amen.
Here at Need Project, our mission is healthy families and healthy children through the creation of practical resources and support for parents and caregivers navigating special needs. We want families to thrive, not just survive, And we believe that no other place can support and strengthen these families like God's church. Where else can they see their children loved and included? Where else can they receive the Word of God to refresh their souls and give them the strength they need to face the coming week? Someone said that we may be the only Jesus some people ever see. Understand that for some families, this may be the only time not having to care for their child all week. For others, it may have taken a miracle to show up at the doors of your church or program. What you are doing matters so much to the families you serve and to God. I know it can be a challenge to manage a Sunday school classroom. We're volunteers ourselves, and we have had many of the struggles that come in any program. But we also know the reward of seeing kids and adults hear the Word of God and know they are loved and that God's people care. That's why we partnered with Woodman Valley Chapel Access Ministry to create this video. We want to provide you some tips for managing behaviors and tools to help you in your program. We hope this video gives you practical things to manage your unique situation and gives you insights that will equip you for your success. After you watch this video, we would love your feedback, and at the end there will be a link you can go to leave us a comment and tell us any suggestions you have. And as always, if there is anything else we here at Need Project can do to support you, please reach out to us.
Hey everyone, my name is Emily Emerson and I am the Access Ministry Coordinator at Woodman Valley Chapel here in Colorado Springs. Now the purpose of our Access Ministry is to facilitate inclusion inside of the life of the church for the individual with exceptional needs and for their family. In support of our broader church mission, the goals of the Exceptional Needs Ministry are to lead the families affected by unique needs into a growing relationship with Jesus Christ. We offer one-on-one buddies, specialized classes, respite care, and behavior support for individuals across 4 different campuses in Colorado Springs. In our world at Access, the terms additional needs, special needs, and disability encompass a broad range of unique needs, including but aren't limited to kids, students, and adults with learning differences, intellectual disabilities, neurological disorders, developmental delays, communication disorders, social skill deficits, physical disabilities, sensory needs, trauma impact, emotional and behavior disorders, and medical conditions. We could even walk alongside a student experiencing a significant life change for a period of time. Understanding why a particular individual requires the services of our ministry is often unimportant. What is important is that the ministry is able to assist identified individuals to help them experience success in the church setting. With such a variety of demographics amongst all of our campuses, we have the whole gamut of behaviors and needs on a Sunday morning in our kids' ministry. And let's be honest, as ministry leaders, we are in a tricky position. Our environment isn't the most consistent. We have volunteers serve every week, every other week, or maybe just once a month. Families miss a Sunday here and there for whatever reason, and new kids are coming and going every weekend. We don't have the benefit of providing consistency and routine for our kiddos like a school, home, or even a daycare does. We also ride a really thin line when it comes to behavior expectations. As a ministry, we want to encourage and hold kids accountable for the words that they say and the actions they do. We want to model grace and forgiveness, and we also need to keep order in an unfamiliar setting without being too harsh or too strict. We have kids with sensory processing difficulties, kids who are shy, kids who come from broken homes, kids with special needs, kids with lots of energy, kids who come from a traumatic background, and kids who are just weighed down by the expectations to be perfect. It is a lot to accommodate once a week for just a quick hour and a half with a team of volunteers who don't necessarily have the tools to walk alongside kids from hard places. And that's okay. In all of this chaos, we are met with a Savior who has it all under control. Every sweetie that walks into our classrooms knows that no matter what, they are safe and they are loved. All right, we are going to touch on some practical ways to create felt safety, structure, and clear expectations for any kid in our ministries. Before we jump right in, the first thing we need to do is surrender. We can read all the books, listen to every podcast, and attend every conference, but we cannot successfully minister to kids in our ministries without Jesus in the center of it all. Prayer is an important part of preparation. Every ministry needs to be bathed in prayer. As ministry leaders and volunteers, we must have a spirit of continuous prayer over our kids and their families. He hears us and knows what the ministry needs in order to minister to such a gamut of behaviors and needs. What do you need to do to create more space for prayer over the ministry you lead? Lean in and let Jesus show the way for your ministry. All right, now let's talk about behavior. Did you know that every behavior is some type of communication? And there are 4 functions of behavior. The first being escape. This is when the kiddo is avoiding work or an activity. Another function is attention. The child is making an effort to gain attention from their peers or from the adults around them. Behavior that is an attempt to get a preferred item or a preferred activity is the tangible function. The last function is sensory. This is behavior that occurs at least in part by a child's inability to effectively process sensory information in their environment. Dr. Karen Purvis puts it beautifully by saying our job as a trusted adult in kids' lives is to stay calm no matter what, see the need behind the behavior, find a way to meet the need, because if not you, then who? There are many things that we can do with hopes to prevent unwanted behavior. The most important thing we can do is build relationships with the kids, but especially with those who have exceptional needs. Those kiddos especially need repeated experiences early on that ultimately build those trusting relationships. It is a matter of being really intentional with a child and providing them with friendly facial expressions, getting down on their level, maintaining a positive voice inflection, practicing active listening, and providing playful engagement. Remember to take the time to get to know them and find some common interests the two of you share. Without a trusting relationship being established, the following strategies guarantee to fall flat. Predictability, transitional warnings, and clear and simple rules and expectations are vital to preventing unwanted behavior. Visual schedules are one of the ways to provide predictability because it provides boundaries around time. For kids with autism and other hidden disabilities, time is a really hard concept for them to grasp. When we put boundaries around time, that can be really helpful for them. Visual timers with verbal reminders of remaining time until a transition can also help provide a boundary for time. Hey, the Dollar Tree has great timers that are easy to use and you don't have to worry about them getting demolished because they're such a great value. You can even have the student help you with keeping track of the time or simply pushing the start button. It makes a big difference to them. One thing we often expect of kids is to naturally know the behavior expectations of every environment that they encounter. We must over-communicate our rules and expectations in every different environment that we present to them. Our campuses do this every single weekend. Kids start to know those expectations inside and out, and they know exactly what our teacher look means when they are doing something that they know they shouldn't be. I would encourage you to pick 3 to 4 positively stated, clear and simple rules for every kid in your ministry to follow. Create a printed visual in each area that can be easily referenced by the volunteers or the kids themselves. Review these expectations at the beginning of every service, every weekend. Be on the lookout to verbally praise kids who are following the rules and expectations. When kids start to hear their peers being praised for positive choices, they will be eager to do the same with high hopes of being noticed too. If there is a child who needs their own personalized set of targeted behaviors, we have created individual visual slips. If Amani keeps hitting her friends, running around during the lesson, and shouting out, interrupting the teachers, then we would create a visual for her like this. Hands to myself, sit on the floor, raise my hand. These point out the alternatives to her unwanted behaviors and also teaches her exactly what is expected. You can even add an additional square that lists a reward if she follows those expectations for a certain amount of time. I would encourage you to keep the time frames for the incentives small at the beginning and then gradually increase that time as the weeks go by. Maybe she can earn a sticker or walk in the hallway with an adult, or maybe even a Play-Doh break. The incentive needs to be motivating for the kiddo or it won't work. You will naturally be giving the incentive pretty frequently at the beginning, but if you stick with it, the incentive breaks will become fewer and more manageable as the wanted behaviors become more natural for the kiddo in your environment. One strategy that I love to implement when a kiddo is having a hard time in one of our environments is a social story. Social stories clearly lay out things that they can expect in a certain environment. It addresses how to make good choices, what the schedule of the morning will be, and how they will feel, as well as how their parents will feel if they end up making good choices that morning. You can create one yourself, or you can adopt one you find to meet the needs of your kiddos themselves. This is a fun and easy way to personalize a strategy and allows them to have less anxiety or fear towards the unknown. I make a copy for the family and for the classroom. We ask that parents read the social story before church that morning, either at home or in the car when they're eating their breakfast, and then we read it when the kiddo comes into the class and gets all settled. This creates unity between the family, the child, and the church staff and volunteers. The child knows that everyone is on the same page. You can use a program like Boardmaker online to help you make this social story. Have you heard of first then statements? This is an easy way to communicate with kids in a clear and a direct way. You are providing them with something they need to do first, let's say clean up their toys. Next, you tell them what they will have access to when the first thing is completed. For example, Hannah, first clean up the baby doll clothes, then you can go outside. Stay consistent and patient. If you have to say the first then statement 15 times in a row, then that is what it'll take for the kids to know the expectation and what the boundaries are, and they have responsibilities. When you begin to see unwanted behaviors that are not putting the kiddo themselves in danger or anyone else in danger, take the time to provide redirection with a replacement activity. If our little friend Trevor is starting to throw toys, then try having him help you get the craft ready, or have him try a new activity with friends in a different area. If the kiddo is not receptive to the alternate activity that you provide, give them 2 choices that you can follow through with. For example, Trevor, you have 2 choices. You can play with Legos, keeping them on the ground, or you can sit at the table and color. One easy way to lose control of this situation is by changing the options of choices, or by not following through. You want to provide a sense of control for the child by providing choices, but you need to keep the control as the adult by sticking to the boundaries set by the choices provided. One of the choices provided can be more of a consequence. For example, Trevor, you have 2 choices. You can play with Legos, keeping them on the ground, or you can clean the Legos up. If Trevor starts to throw those Legos again, then you immediately need to follow through with the consequence of having him clean up those Legos. There are times when kids need incentives to follow the preferred behaviors and to make good choices. If it comes to this, it is best to let the parents know. Hey, the parents might even have a reward chart or a token board that is used at home, therapy, or at school that you can replicate and use on Sundays. That's also a bonus because it brings more consistency for the child when they see everyone in their world is on the same page. Having the caregivers on board also makes the incentive much more effective. When using a reward chart or a token board, reiterate the goal to the child by asking, "What are you working for?" Keep the reward fresh and relevant to the motivation of the child for best results. It might change every Sunday or every different program. It is also very important that the child knows exactly what behaviors you are looking for in order for them to earn the reward. That is when the use of their own personalized visual behavior strip comes in handy, like we talked about before. Alrighty, sometimes kiddos lose connection to their upstairs brain, which that upstairs brain controls their decision-making skills, planning skills, the balance of their emotions and the balance of their body, their self-understanding and their ability to reflect or have empathy, or the skills to decipher between what's right and what's wrong. So, one strategy to implement before the child ends up in a tantrum or a meltdown because of that disconnection is to engage in physical activity. You can have the whole class or just that child engage in an active brain break by having them do wall push-ups, the crab walk, the bear crawl, jumping jacks, or even having a 30-minute dance party. There are also some pretty cool videos on gonoodle.com that are kid appropriate and a lot of fun for all ages. Let's talk about fidgets. Fidgets are small gadgets that provide sensory input and also allows the child enough regulation to be able to still engage in what's going on around them. They can easily get out of control if boundaries are not made. Before any child receives a fidget from one of our volunteers or staff members, this visual is shown and explained to them. Fidgets must stay in your lap, they must stay quiet, and you still have to listen. We set the expectation that if any of those rules are broken, then the fidget will be taken away. It is super important that the fidget is indeed taken away if it's being misused after a couple warnings are given. If kiddos around the child who has the fidget start to become distracted or they want to fidget too, a simple reminder from the teacher or the volunteer to pay attention will do just the trick. If other students then start to ask for a fidget because it looks fun and exciting, but you're confident that they don't need one, simply tell them that the kiddo needs it to help them pay attention, and you are confident that they can pay attention without one. Don't be discouraged if it seems like the child using the fidget isn't really paying attention. I have been amazed time and time again by their ability to absorb the information going on around them, even when they are looking down at their fidget. It seems that they can absorb that information even better than when they don't have that fidget. So it really works, and it's an awesome tool if the boundaries are made for the child themselves and the kiddos around them. Alrighty, we know that the reality is, despite our best efforts and the use of these strategies, we will still have kiddos displaying inappropriate, harmful, or disruptive behaviors. When correcting unwanted behaviors with a child who has exceptional needs, our number one priority is maintaining and strengthening our trust-based relationship with them. Instead of sending a child to the traditional timeout zone, try having a time in with them, maybe just one-on-one. The goal is to bring the child closer versus sending him or her away. This gives you the opportunity to problem solve with them and not lecture or preach at them. During this time, you also need to focus on the child's value instead of focusing on their failure. In the time in, by giving them a chance to have a behavioral redo where they show the appropriate way to handle a situation, or by giving them clear choices of how to move forward. These strategies are bound to strengthen and maintain your relationship with a child, along with laying out firm boundaries and consequences. Let's take a moment to talk about the differences between a tantrum and a meltdown when it comes to sensory processing disorders. This knowledge will help you in responding to the child's behavior and assisting them. Tantrums are goal and control driven. The child knows exactly what they want their end goal to be and probably knows how to get it, hence the tantrum. The child is performing the tantrum for an audience. They are fueled by the attention received from either their peers or from the adults around them. The child will check for that engagement in the midst of a tantrum. When they get what they want, or if they realize they aren't going to get what they want, resolve is accomplished. The child is in control though. If you think about a toddler who doesn't get their way, they throw themselves on the floor. The mom walks away and the toddler gets up and follows her and then continues to throw themselves on the floor. That is a tantrum. They are in control, and it resolves when, again, they get what they want or they realize they're not getting what they want. The best thing to do when a child is having a tantrum at church is to ignore them. This lessens their fuel of attention from others. Be sure to let all the volunteers in the room know that the child needs to be ignored. Don't forget to keep an eye on them to ensure their safety, but don't feed into the tantrum. It's a tricky dance. If the child destroys material things or makes a mess out of the room, it is important to have them clean up when they are calm. This would also be a good time to bring the child close and to have a time in to discuss what could be done differently in the future. It is also important to help them in apologizing to others if they made any wrongs. Meltdowns, on the other hand, are completely different. It is a response to being overstressed or overwhelmed. It's a reactive mechanism. The meltdown continues without getting that attention. The child's safety may be compromised in a meltdown. They usually get really tired. Sometimes when you watch a child who's having a meltdown, they have a tendency for their bodies to become stiff. They might turn red or flushed. They sweat, and they sometimes get so tired that they end up falling asleep. A meltdown is not goal dependent, and it may in fact require assistance to gain back control. Now, a meltdown may very well start as a tantrum, but the difference is kids with challenging behaviors have the tendency to escalate into having those meltdowns. If it starts as a tantrum, chances are they will continue to lose control. The child starts to disengage from their environment. It's hard because tantrums and meltdowns have very similar physical responses: screaming, kicking, hitting, crying, etc. But we have to remember that the cause of the meltdown is very different. Meltdowns are caused by too much sensory information, which results in the child feeling overwhelmed. When the child gets to be overwhelmed, that leads to their fight or flight response. The escalation occurs quickly once sensory triggers occur and the child loses control. In addition to the strategies we have already discussed, here are some additional thoughts to preventing meltdowns. If our ministry is made aware of the child's exceptional needs prior to Sundays, part of our intake forms include the parent's description of what the child's triggers are, what the escalation looks like, and what specifically works for that child to de-escalate. It's very important information that can make a huge difference in the long run. When you have that information on a child because of their intake form or because of a past experience with them, consider all of the potential triggers and all the environments the child will be in that morning. Provide adaptations and accommodations to avoid those triggers. Remind the volunteers to provide a break for the child when they start to become restless or agitated. If an activity is overwhelming or overstimulating, remove the kiddo from the activity and allow them to watch from a comfortable distance. Most importantly, lower the demands that you're putting on that child and lessen your language to one-step directions or just gestures or even by using visuals. Because when you notice that the student is starting to escalate, you do not want to wait too long to remove them from the environment that is causing them to become overwhelmed. Provide the child with a short movement break or a calming break. It can even be in the hallway or a sensory room that you have at your church. When a meltdown still happens, no amount of redirection or intervention will help them get through it faster. The kiddo has to complete the meltdown in their own time. As much as it's against most of our natural instincts to jump in and to help, the best intervention is no direct intervention when a child is having that meltdown. Do your best to try to adjust the environment by maybe lowering the lights and the sound, and remove others from the room to give the child privacy and some space. Use a calm, reassuring voice to let them know that you're there with them and that they are safe. Our ministry will call parents out of service to assist with meltdowns. We don't want the child to leave church that Sunday morning traumatized, where they felt overwhelmed and out of control in a more unfamiliar place. We want to do our best in comforting them, and most of the time, the parents and the caregivers can do that right away for their child. All right, that was a lot of information with a lot of different strategies, but as ministry leaders, we have such a big responsibility to love our kiddos well and walk alongside them even when it's hard. For me, it's a joy and an honor because I get to see a sliver of Jesus' redemption and love for each one of his children. Remember that no child wants to be bad or wants to misbehave. Every behavior is a type of communication. Lean in, see the need, and meet the need, because if you don't, who will?